All right, so let's start out with something that a good way to start out 2016 is doing sort of a checkup from the neck up. Okay, so this comes out of the book. Okay, so I'm always promoting books. The Magic of Thinking Big by David J. Schwartz, PhD. David J. Schwartz. So may the Schwartz be with you. I know I'm totally dating myself. What a great movie, by the way. But The Magic of Thinking Big. This book rocks. It's got like stuff in here like the 3 failure diseases. You know, this you got to read this book. This is on the book list, by the way. So you need to read this book. This has got to be one that you can look how thin it is. Okay, we should have like a book index. This is like uh, medium thin. Okay, I've got thinner books. Let me see. So the extra thin books are like this book's The Key to Excellence by Charlie Tremendous Jones. This book rocks. This is ultra thin. So you know you have the ultra thin laptop? This is an ultra thin book. You can knock this out in about 30 minutes to an hour. This is like ultra thin, like an ultra thin laptop. So this is medium thin. Okay, so if you're intimidated by the thickness of a book, then you know this is medium thin. What do I got? A mega thick book. I don't like mega thick books. That's why I don't have a whole lot of them. Well, I don't want to promote a mega thick book, so I don't have any mega thick books around here. Anyway, that's probably something I need to work on, right? To not be intimidated with mega thick books. Honestly, man, I'm looking in my office. I think the thickest book I have in here on my shelves is the Bible. So I read that. But I haven't done that cover to cover. Yeah, that's about the thickest book I have in all my bookshelves. Anyway, Magic of Thinking Big. All right. So I want to do you a favor and me a favor, and let's do a checkup from the neck up, and let's resolve to today changing the way we think when negative stuff starts, crapping on us. You got the little negative crows flying around your head, and they're dumping crap on you. You need to kind of put the umbrella up of positive mental attitude and the way you think. And how you change your life is changing how you think up here. What you think changes what you do. What you do changes the results of your life. Okay, it's very simple. There's attitude in there. There's like a whole formula of the way you think affects your attitude affects your actions affects results, and the results affect what happens in your life. And all that's about you. Remember, this is you. This is the circle of you, okay? And then this is the universe outside of you, okay? It's pretty large, okay? So there's you, and then there's the universe. Okay, so when you look at what you can control, gang, what can you control? Can you control the economy, right? No. Can you control other people? No, you can't control other people. All right? If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about. If you have pets, well, you can control your pets a little bit, but you can't control other people. Can you control the news? Can you control your sports teams? Can you control Facebook? You can control whether you go on it or not, but you can't control all the other stuff. All the stuff is stuff that you cannot control. So where does fear come? Fear, you fear and worry about things that you can't control. And that's a big part of fear. Things you can't control. You fear the weather. You fear the economy. You fear the rumors of something that might happen. All kinds of stuff you fear. But here is where fear is controlled, is you in your head, your mindset and attitude. Okay, you could choose to have fear. Now, it's okay. Fear is a normal reaction. It's an emotional reaction. Okay? But how you deal with fear is everything. So fear exists. You can have it. But how you deal with it is everything, and that's the you part. The only thing you can control is what's inside the circle. Okay? That's the only thing you can control, gang. So if you worry and have fear about everything outside of you, man, it's, you know, that ain't where it's at. How do you handle the fear of dealing with everything is what you do about it. Your attitude, because you can control only your attitude and your actions. And what happens with attitude and action, if you control it properly, is you change the results of your life. Okay? You change the results of your life. So here's the thing. You could be a small you, or you can enlarge your you to make things happen around you. So when you enlarge yourself, your attitude and your actions, you enlarge yourself. And what happens is you start changing other people. You start changing things around you. Not the economy, but your own personal economy. Okay? Your own personal war on poverty. You know, the world might be falling down economically, but you can be just fine within your vortex, within your eye of the storm. See, look at this. This is the tornado raging around you, okay, of stuff you can't control, but you create your eye of the storm. And you can enlarge your eye of the storm by working on your attitude and action, man. It's amazing how things change. It's like you can't change your spouse. All you can do is change you. What's amazing, if you change you, enlarge yourself, and expand yourself in a positive way, it affects your spouse because they react to you different. Isn't it interesting how the way we react to things changes how they react to you? It's just, you know, kind of God's law, right? All you can do is what you can do. So why don't you take advantage of what you can do and check up from the neck up, control your attitude and your actions, okay? So know that you are in control of your own circle. Let's expand that, the eye of the storm, so that you have this calmness in this raging world around us, that you enlarge your calm area, that you have faith that the good things are going to happen because you just followed God's plan instead of your own. What I'm resolved to do every day is now just letting go and letting God. Okay? I'm letting go and letting God. I'm letting go of any fear, any doubt. I'm just letting go and letting God. I know that He has a perfect plan for me. I just know His plan is always more perfect than mine. Mine's never perfect. If you ever look at what I can do without Him, it's always flawed. Now, I've proven throughout my life, for as long as I've lived, whenever I try to do it on my own, I've always failed. But every time I just kind of opened it up and said, man, I'm tired. Let me just flow with your will. Let me just do what you want me to do. Lord, what do you want me to do today? Lord, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do this? I think I've been praying and I feel like this is what you want me to do. And every time I did that, the first thing that went away was fear. The second thing that went away was doubt. The third thing that went away was worry. And then the benefit was calm. It's like, God's got my back. I don't have my back. God's got it. So I'll let Him, and whatever happens will happen because His will is perfect and I don't got to worry. And so I've been just like, and I can't tell you the things that have happened, good things and the challenges. Here's what's interesting is the challenges that have come up living in this world of no worry and fear, even the challenges that come up have been good. I think being in this mindset has allowed me to see the benefit of every seed, right, of every failure, of every obstacle. I've been able to visualize and see the seed of greatness. Like Napoleon Hill says, that out of adversity comes a seed of equal or greater benefit. So by having faith and getting rid of my fear and worry, I've been able to see the benefit quickly of anything that happened that wasn't the way that I would have liked to have happened, you know. But like if a child asks his father for bread, would he give him stone, or would he give him a rattlesnake, right? In the Bible, right? Well, if a parent wouldn't give his children bad things that would hurt them, why would God give you something bad that would make it worse, your life worse, right? And so I kind of look at everything at a different perspective, that if I just let go and let God, then everything's rocking. And sometimes it's more of a challenge. You know, when it's like 7 degrees outside, I'm scraping the windows. I'm going, okay, God, you sent the weather. This is probably going to help me work out and raise my heartbeat up so that I can get a little bit of workout here. I mean, it's just whatever, man. I mean, I'm not worried. It's cool to not live in that fear of all these things around you, and living in fear, knowing that if I control my attitude and action, live a life of faith instead of fear, then man, everything just kind of opens up. My world opens up. Everything becomes more vivid. Colors are brighter, are more vivid, right? My experiences are more real, more tangible, something that I enjoy. I enjoy moments. Like when you live in fear and doubt, you lose the moments that you can enjoy, right? When you're always thinking about yourself and thinking about you and thinking about your junk, you miss the moments when you see the smile on your son's face. When you ask him, hey man, how's it going? And it's going real good. And you look at his face and you see that smile and you appreciate, God, that's my son. Man, I love him so much. Thank you, God, for my son. See, when you live in a life of fear and worry, that thought doesn't come to mind, and you don't acknowledge that God blessed you with some awesome family. What did I do to deserve such an awesome son, daughter, wife? What happens is you just get so involved in your own junk that you don't appreciate what God had given you around you that you can be thankful for, right? Check up from the neck up, man. So that's sort of a preamble to this, Magic of Thinking Big. Man, I hope it didn't take up all that time. Okay, I got a few minutes left. So, all right. So let's talk about how, this is on page 81, this table right here. I'm not going to take credit for any original thought. Like Andy Albright said yesterday, nothing new under the sun, baby. There's nothing new under the sun. So I am just repeating stuff that means something to me. I am nothing other than a good copier, a good repeater, a good duplicator, or I try to be. You know, I try to be the best I can. I'm not anywhere where I should be, but I'm always trying. I'm always trying. So, I'm just repeating back to you so I can learn it too. All right. So, let's talk about the difference between what a petty thinker thinks, the petty thinker's approach versus the big thinker's approach. Okay. Remember, we're trying to enlarge your calm. Okay. We're trying to enlarge your calm. We're trying to enlarge you, opening up your circle of what you can't control. So what's the big thinker's approach versus the petty thinker's approach? Okay, so here's how a petty thinker thinks. A petty thinker tries to figure out how to increase their income by cutting and chiseling on expenses or investments. Like from a business owner standpoint, they're thinking how I can make more money by reducing what I'm investing. Is that crazy? Okay, I'm going to make more money by reducing my lead investment. I'm going to make more money by reducing my recruiting investment. It's like, seriously? It's like saying, I'm going on this $1,000-mile trip and I'm going to do it on less gas. Well, your car gets 25 miles per gallon. It's going to calculate out how many gallons you need. How are you going to do it on less gas unless you buy a car that's better in gas mileage, or you drive slower, or, I mean, it's like, please. Now, a big thinker's approach to the situation is they figure out ways to increase income by selling more. What a concept. So you got the petty thinker who's trying to reduce investment, right? And you got the big thinker who's going to invest more and going to increase their income by doing more, by selling more. What a concept, okay? Here's how a petty thinker thinks. They talk about the negative qualities of their friends, about the economy, the company, and the competition. Like I said, they talk about the negative of all the stuff they cannot control, okay? A big thinker talks about the positive qualities of his friends, his company, and the competition. See, this is either a storm around you that you're fighting against, or this is blue sky. This is blue sky. You know what? The economy sucks for others. The economy's awesome for me, right? The news sucks for others, but I don't watch the news. I guard what goes into my head. See, my attitude is the most important thing I got to protect. So I don't watch the news, because what does the news report? A bunch of crappy stuff. Well, I know there's wars and people dying. I'm praying for them. I don't have to hear about it, because I know that those people are always going to have those issues. Those nations are always going to have I pray, you know. And if it's bad enough, someone will tell me about it, okay? I don't have to go seeking it out, right? So petty thinker, they talk about the negative qualities of friends, economy, company, competition. The big thinker talks about the positive qualities of friends, company, and the competition. Yes, the competition. You know, like when you're recruiting. Well, I'm with XYZ company. Wow, that's a great company. A lot of people make a lot of money there, don't they? And then they say, well, I guess, but I didn't. Oh, really? Well, what happened? I never badmouth companies or never badmouth other insurance companies. Never, man, you start getting that made, it really shows you how petty you think. A petty thinker believes in retrenchment, or the best is the status quo. Okay, just staying where you're at in terms of progress. A big thinker believes in expansion, expanding their income, expanding their influence, expanding their business, growth and expansion, right? Um, a petty thinker views the future as limited. A big thinker sees the future as promising. The future is always going to be better than today. Tomorrow's always going to be better than today. Why? Because I did today what I need to do to make tomorrow better. And tomorrow I'm going to do tomorrow to make the next day better. Okay, whereas the petty thinker views the future as limited. A petty thinker looks for ways to avoid work. A big thinker looks for more ways and things to do, especially helping others. Petty thinker looks for ways to avoid work. The big thinker thinks of how can I help more people? What can I do? That defines Andy Albright, doesn't it? He's always thinking, how can I help people? Everything he does, if you look down at his motives, it's looking to help people. He wants to buy a jet because he wants to go out and help more people with that jet. He's going to use it as a tool to go out there. But he also uses a tool to inspire you, saying that if he could do it, you can get a jet too. Right? Everything Andy, like, can you tell Andy Albright's the big thinker? All this stuff here defines Andy Albright. I'm trying to get to where he's at. You know what I mean? A petty thinker competes with the average. A big thinker competes with the best. Right? So don't compete with average. I don't want to compete with average. I want to compete with the top of the top, the best of the best, right? A petty thinker figures out ways to save money by cutting down on necessary items. Okay, necessary items. Again, going back to lead bill, recruiting investment. A big thinker figures out ways to increase income and buy more of the necessary items. A big thinker figures out how to make more money so they can invest more money, so they can make more money, so they can invest more money, so they can make more money, so they can invest more money. Do you see how that works? Man, I'm running out of time. A petty thinker sets goals low. A big thinker sets goals high. A petty thinker sees only the short run. A big thinker is preoccupied with the long run. Do you know that you always overestimate what you can do in the short run, but you always underestimate what you can do in the long run, right? Every effort to become better today than yesterday is an advancement that gets compounded on a daily basis, so that in the long run, that compounding just takes you through the moon, right? It's the compounding of the little bit of improvement that you do every day. Security. The petty thinker is preoccupied with security problems. The big thinker regards security as a national companion of success. Okay? In other words, you're thinking that you're so preoccupied with feeling safe and secure. Okay, you just want to not step out of your comfort zone because you want to be secure. Okay, The big thinker is not worried about security. He's going out there, and it's part of being successful is getting out of that security mode and stepping out of your comfort zone. Companionship. A petty thinker surrounds himself with other petty thinkers. A big thinker surrounds himself and herself with persons with large progressive ideas. Okay? Why do you get on conference calls like this? Because you want to see who's pushing the envelope. Why do you go to national conference? You want to get around the big thinkers, the big believers, the big people that have enlarged themselves. Get around them and finding out what they're doing. You cannot do it by listening merely to an MP3, although MP3s are great. You can't do it just by plugging into TFDCs, although you've got to do that. But you've got to get around the people, physically around the people that are doing it. That's why national conference, you've got to get there in order to enlarge yourself and in order to enlarge the circle here. Mistakes. Petty thinker, they magnify minor errors and turns them into big issues. Big thinker ignores errors of little consequence. It's like how you can tell how big a person is by what makes them mad. If little things make you mad, then you're a small petty thinker, right? You make it into a big deal. But for the big thinkers, no big deal. You got to major in the majors, major in what is important. All this little junk, that ain't important. So anyway, I hope that helps you do a checkup from the neck up and helps you figure out how to enlarge your attitude and your actions. And keep thinking every day, have I been a petty thinker at all today? Or have I been a big thinker in all the things I've done? So when you sit down at the end of the day, before you go to bed, you do kind of an examination of conscience. Okay, and think about the good things you did, the bad things you did, how you served God and how you did not, where you failed. And then other your failures, ask forgiveness, and then tomorrow's going to be a new day. If God blesses you with another day, he gives you another chance. And that's one thing about having a merciful God, is that he'll let you wake up the next day, and then he's forgiven you, and he says, okay, man, go get him. I got your back, right? I got your back. All right, gang, so there you go. I hope that helped, and thanks for plugging in. Let's rock the house this week, man. Can you imagine if we matched 42,000 next week? That would so be awesome, man. That would be so awesome. So anyway, gang, rock and roll. Appreciate y'all. God bless. And, man, we'll see you out there on the road. Let's see your name on the top of the leaderboard next week. All right?